Hey, hi everybody, it's Roseanne and I have makeup on so you don't have to get all tense that my freckles show and I look real old.
Everyone says you look great. That's what they've been saying on the interwebs.
That's nice.
Not the haters, yeah.
Yeah.
Not the bug-eyed haters.
And I'm here today in my studio with one of my favorite people, one of my favorite guests, An0maly. Say hi.
Thank you for having me, yeah.
Thanks for coming back. It's always fun to talk to you.
Thank you.
So what are we going to get into today? The Jussie Smollett case? He just got fired. That's what everybody was texting me. They just finally fired him.
Absolutely. And we've all been bringing up you. I don't like to be an eye for an eye. It's like I don't want people, like I don't like to take down people for free speech and stuff, but you said a tweet. Yeah. I don't think, knowing you and talking to you, I don't think they ever called you and said, like, what did it mean? How did you... No. Why did you say that? It was just like, you're out. Yeah. Whereas it wasn't like a free speech thing with him. It was like, you know, staging a felony, staging a hate crime, literally buying supplies, doing a fake letter, starting a political race division in a country where we desperately need to come together. So it's like actual crime and like so much worse.
Somebody said yesterday it's terrorism.
Yeah, and I understand people are weak and emotional, and they take advantage of people, even certain communities that they've been discriminated against. They have real pain, so they use that.
But they never deal with that.
Yeah.
They never fix anything. They just use people.
And the thing is, they don't actually care about those things, because sometimes they'll say it's the black community, but if you're a black conservative or a black person like Kanye West who's not even conservative, just talking, they want to ruin you, where it's like sometimes they'll be like, we love the Jews, you can't say anything about Jews, but then you and Laura Loomer, you stray from the narrative, and then they go hard at you. So
yeah, they do.
It's annoying. It's like, just say you like liberal ideas, or like don't use communities for your agenda, and then as soon as someone strays from it, you throw them under the bus, because you definitely didn't get the Jewish victim card with your show. Like, they didn't let it, let's listen, like they were like, you're gone. Whereas if Jussie was like a Trump supporter, I'm sure his career probably would have been ruined.
Could you imagine if he was white and he said that two black guys beat him up, and can you imagine what would happen to that guy?
I saw someone on TV say, we lie every day, like this is what we do every day, and I'm like, no we don't. Like, you might lie every day, but some of us try to tell the truth, and I'm sure we all make mistakes, I agree with that, but to be like, that's who we are, and I think that's who they've become. In pursuit of like being so great, they've just given up all science, math, all these things that they claim to love, facts, love and compassion. I used to like that about the left, and me and you came from similar sides where we always leaned left in 2012, but we were outside the box left, and I think you probably liked the fact that the left seemed to care about people more, maybe. I
thought they did.
I thought so too.
Till I saw the truth.
Yeah. So.
Neither party. I'm telling everyone to just be an independent, because the parties are both just about lockdown of thought, and then you got to parrot their narrative. So you got to be in the middle, and that means no party. And you just choose the candidate that best suits you from whatever party. And Alyssa Milano, I just want to say this about her kind of people that allowed themselves to be used to hurt people. When they do wake up all the way, I'm not going to forgive them. And I don't think any of us should. It's either like walk away now or fuck off, because you're hurting a lot of people, and you're not thinking, and you're just going along to get along, and you thought you'd make a name on hurting other people, and you're not going to get forgiven.
Using women, children, like with the border stuff, if you're not really concerned about the true narrative, like women get raped, and this is a liberal news source, Huffington Post, who referenced a bigger study saying 80% of the young women and girls from Central America are getting raped, 80%. So if you're going to scream and cry and throw everyone under the bus, but your agenda helps that happen, it's like, it really is bad. And I'm starting to see, even with like what's his name, the guy with the KKK blackface, and the Democrat guy, Northam, he's like, we'll resuscitate the baby, and we'll talk to the parents, and then
we'll kill it.
Yeah, it's like, dude, like at what point, I feel you, and a lot of people are upset. I am upset too, and that's definitely like a line that they've crossed, where I'm like, I was never even super pro-life, but it's like, I'm nice enough to know that killing a mid-birth baby or whatever is not the play.
The real truth of it is, and I'll say it, all that stuff that's happening in the border is about trafficking of children and slaves. People that come in and do rich people's, clean their houses and raise their kids for 3 cents an hour because they don't want to pay a decent wage for it. Every single thing, and drugs, and it's all sex crime heavy. And if Democrats can't see that, and they are collusionary in it, it's just more proof of how far they're going to go down, because the more people who are waking up and seeing it, the better. But my friend Kathy O'Brien, she wrote a thing, and everyone should go read it. I'll have to put this in on graphics later, but she's saying that, from the Clintons and the Bushes, it was always about trafficking drugs and mind-controlled slaves, children, MK Ultra victims. It's always been about that. This isn't new. And, there's a lot of darkness in our government, a lot of dark people, and they just pick low-hanging fruit, and human trafficking and drugs are low-hanging fruit, and they're making a killing on it, literally. But, I can't believe that the Democrats, I always say this too, it's not your daddy's Democrat Party, because I was always raised pretty left in my family, and I don't recognize that party at all, which is why I walked away, because it's like, you guys, you're on the wrong side of everything, and you don't look any further than the surface. What they tell you on TV, you buy, you swallow, you defend it. And then when it's proven to be a lie, and that you've been MK Ultra'd, they never fess up or apologize or anything else. They just keep on. And that's just evil. It's just evil. There's no other word for it.
I feel you. Even with Obama, I didn't agree with a lot of his foreign or domestic policy, but even he, like with, say, like border stuff, he was like deporting more people than Bush, and even some reports say Trump to the certain point, so he wasn't even that far, even though he was like going further. Obamacare, not a fan of the individual mandate. But since Trump got into office, like they decided to take where Obama was going a little further left doing some stuff, they just like flew off where they don't care about anything anymore. It's nothing like, I wasn't a fan. I was like, oh, Obama, Bush, he's just the guy that's going to be there and he's going to do some stuff. But now it's like, okay, you're not pro-life. Okay, you're pro-choice. What were we talking about? First trimester? There's even clips of left-leaning people where they're like, oh, we don't do third trimester, but now they're openly like, we're resuscitate the baby, and it's like, it is becoming purely evil. And the drugs on the border from fentanyl, there's enough fentanyl to kill the whole country, and people are dying. We have a record number of kids dying from overdoses and suicide, and a lot of it is the drugs and the mind control culture. So it's like, at what point are you just like crushing women and children? I know that's why you're upset. Yeah. I go through phases. I try to be nice sometimes, but it's like, you can't just kill babies. And I know people that they're just dying like left and right, friends of friends, just like drugs. And a lot of it's coming from the border statistically. So at a certain point, if you use women and children to act like you care about people, but the true agenda is like hurting women and children, and they don't even want to have a discussion where you could sit down and talk to them and be like, what's your point? But they're like, this is what it is. They use like a fake picture or a situation. They're like, if you would disagree with me, you're racist, you're sexist, you're xenophobic. You are the only one putting discussion out there in that culture, and you had the #1 show. So it's not only like you're breaking the narrative, you're actually doing better than all of what they were doing.
Yeah, put together.
And then they're like, just don't even exist for a tweet. And then he commits a hate crime, and they're like, well, it's like, do you realize that so many people, I hope, are waking up to the fact of you're not really as nice as they claim they were? And I don't know what it is, but at a certain point, they have to be like, all right, I don't like Trump, I'm not conservative, but I'm going to stop being like a complete lunatic in pursuit of doing, I don't know what they're trying to do
anymore.
anymore.
I think you should go issue by issue with Trump. And of course, we're never going to agree with 100% of what power does or says, or the moves they make. That's the whole thing of America, to raise your voice and say we don't want to go that way. But people are just overworked, I guess, and people are working 3 and 4 jobs and stuff just to make ends meet, and they don't have time to do that. But there's a lot of people, particularly my age people, people that are retired, that they should step up. They should step up, as I said for a long time, to run for office if they're a decent human. We need decent humans to run for office. And nobody wants to because they'll destroy you if you say one word or one tweet.
Totally.
But we have to fight back because it's really Stalinist. It's like the whole Stalinist revolution. If you said one thing wrong, they shoot you in the back of the head, and that's next. I got disbarred, or whatever you call it, from Hollywood over the abortion thing like 10 to 15 years ago, and I was never for a late term. And they called me to do their abortion parties, speak and stuff, and I'm like, I can't because I don't agree with that. And I don't agree with it past the first trimester. And now I'm even wondering about that, and I don't even know why they say that. They tell women that's your only choice. And anyway, why don't they come up with better birth control instead of all that? Because you know why? Because they're selling organs and parts. And that's a lot of the trafficking over the border too. People my age are getting their new livers and their new hearts, and they don't care where it came from. And that needs some serious looking at.
Yeah, well, even with Planned Parenthood and stuff, I've seen a lot of videos, but it's definitely, they're making somewhat of money, and they're also getting parts of, I guess, funding from taxpayer dollars in some way. So there is some money being distributed there. And
well, you know what they're doing? They're getting taxpayer money, and then they give it back to themselves for the Democrats.
I'm sure it's not Republicans
all
getting
a wank. It's all a wank. Everything is taking public money and putting it in private pockets, a wank.
And you never hear, this is what annoys me, especially in California, is all they do is talk about Trump. At the end of the day, I don't care what you think or don't think about him, but your job is the governor of California or the senator of California. Like, this is your state. We have the highest taxes. I'm sure you feel it now that I'm doing a little better. Every step of the way, I'm like, they're just stealing my money. I don't want to do it. But highest taxes, most poverty, crazy homeless problem that's not getting better. The teachers are on strike. The roads aren't being fixed. So where's the money going?
I knew in 2012 when I ran that the Democrats were going to go socialist because I ran as a Green, and I saw that there was too much fraternizing between those two, and I knew the Democrats were going to, they want to fight the Green Party, so they became the Green Party. They became a socialist party, and they are. And it's the bad part of it is that it's American socialism. So that's not even socialism. It's corporate socialism, which is, feudalism. So if we were really going to have, I always say socialist solutions, because like our police, that's socialism. Our roads, that's socialism. Our firemen, our traffic lights, those are a correct application of people's money, of the public's money. And I now really think that healthcare should be part of that. Now, I know all the conservatives are going to go crazy on me, but it would be cheaper. Cut the insurance companies out. You don't need an insurance company when you break your arm. You just need a doctor. And I think it's the cheapest way. And I'm hoping that Trump, because he's intelligent, he'll see that, maybe in his second term. We should have what every other civilized country has.
The only thing I'm nervous about that is giving that to the government, although it is in shambles now where we pay the highest prices for drugs, even though they're coming from us most of the time.
I don't think giving it to the government in this form is good. But I think reworking the whole thing, just reworking it so it works, and I think he can do that. I think he can cut a lot of bureaucracy and just make it simple, like it is in Canada.
Yeah, I guess if it's a compromise between, if we can cut out the middleman and also not give too much to the government, because what scares me about people like Bernie, and they love universal health care, they're going to agree with you. What scares me about that is all the tech companies are left. They're starting to censor speech. The education system's left. The whole media's left to the point where you're not even allowed to exist, even though you're not really right-wing. Like, you're just, you'll flow when it makes sense to you. You don't really take labels. So if they get control of the health industry too, it is, it reminds me of really bad regimes where they own everything.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't want that, but I would want some kind of synthesis between...
There's got to be a better way.
Between socialism and raw capitalism. I call it peopleism. It's like there's got to be a way so things work for the people.
Balance is the word you're looking
Yeah, but it's a synthesis of two economic systems. Why can't we try that for a while?
How do we get there? Because we have, you have the right, who I'm starting to lean more libertarian because I understand capitalism's flawed, but the government has too much control. They're already taking too much of my money.
Right.
They're already like sucking everything up. So I'm like, just get out of my face, and we'll see what happens. But I agree, it is a flawed system where eventually, like even now, healthcare is not perfect, and we shouldn't have to pay 20 times the prices if other countries get it for cheaper, and like something's wrong. How do we get to that point where we don't scare away libertarians? Like, we're not going to give it all to the government and let it be corrupt, because the VA and a lot of things the government does, they always kind of just make it worse.
Yeah, they do. Well, when I ran for president, I really wanted to debate and talk with a libertarian because, although I wasn't like a dyed-in-the-wool socialist, but I was for public money being used for the public. So I guess whatever name they're going to put on that. And I wanted to really talk to libertarians about, are we really going to be better off if we remove all protections and there's nothing to protect us against billionaires? We have to have something.
Yeah.
And we do have to have something. I don't know what it is, but I think it comes from conversations between smart people that are looking for solutions. Not anything that exists now. I don't like death panels and all that socialist stuff about healthcare, but there's got to be some other way. There's enough smart people to figure it out.
When you say that, I was driving home with my friend. He's like Bernie type socialist, and then this younger girl, she was like 20, 21, probably left leaning and stuff. We came to, kind of like me and you here, we came to solutions better than government. Like when it's like, rah, 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 like it's just like parrots and nothing's getting done and they're just screaming. But I'm talking with two of my friends who are left leaning, and we worked through it where I'm like, that wouldn't make sense. We can't give the government that. Okay. And then they're like, but this isn't working. I was like, that's true. That's not working. So I was like, why are we coming to better solutions than the hundreds of people?
Because that's our job. That's our job. It's supposed to come from this is the government of, by, and for the people. So it comes from the brilliant people, and we take it to them, and they implement it. But we can't allow them to implement it because they're all crooked.
But why can't we get that to work in Congress? Because I won't even say fear, because I'm not afraid of it, but I'm concerned. It's like the new wave of people are coming up, but I don't really like them any better than the AOCs and stuff, where it's like, oh, they're new blood. It's like, there's some things she's saying to shake up the system. I agree with like some things, but then like everything else, I'm like, she's almost worse in some ways. So it's like worse. In ways that she's better, so it's like everyone's like, there's no sense in getting rid of the old if you're gonna, and that's my scare. Like that's why I'm like,
we can't have anybody in. I really think we can't have anybody that's in government and being paid with people's money, public money. They can't implement any idea that's good for people because it's just the nature of how it works. They're all for themselves, and it's not for the people.
The ideology could work if they were common sense. It
never works.
It never works because they think that like certain people, it's kind of like homelessness out here. Some people need help. Some people need mental help. I'm not saying that, but the truth is when you incentivize it with money and also just like not doing enough to stop it, it's going to grow and grow, and then people will be like, they need help, they need help, they need help, and they keep taking my money and working class people's money. They need help, but the problem's getting worse out here because they're not stopping it. They're not providing the right solution. They're just wasting money, throwing it at it, and incentivizing homelessness. So now there's people who, like a lot of them, almost none of them, I would say, need jobs because the economy's pretty strong. A lot of them need mental help. A lot of them need guidance. But
how about this? Churches who are tax exempt, the homeless problem is their problem. It's their moral problem. The homeless problem and the mental health problem. Churches shouldn't be they shouldn't have like millions in the bank. An organization that's set up to help the poor should actually help the poor, and that's why they're being subsidized by American taxpayers. And if they can't even do that, and they're taking their money to buy more buildings, I really think that needs to be looked at. They should be feeding the homeless. They get a tax benefit for it. They can't have billions in the bank. How do you be a help for the poor, and you got billions in the bank, and the poor are increasing? It's all a con, every bit of it.
Yeah,
I would. You know what I would like to do? I think we should have what are those called? Where you go around, not clubhouse meetings, but anyway, you go,
Town hall?
yeah, town halls, and just like, it'd be so easy, like just go, how do you guys think we ought to change healthcare for the better? And I'll bet you there'll be 25 grandmas who stand up and go, here's what we need to do. Everybody knows what we need to do.
You need to rally the grandmas.
I do, I think so.
Yeah, Amazon seems to not pay taxes. Churches don't pay taxes. My thing is, even if they did pay taxes, and I don't understand why I have to pay thousands, but people who make millions don't pay any. I agree with the left on that. That doesn't make sense to me. But even at that, it's like, how do you, certain people, if you want your kid to be a baseball player and he's just not athletic, he's never going to be a baseball player. And I feel like socialist ideology is like, we'll get that money, even if it was from the churches. You know, I agree that there's way too many loopholes and they're not using the money. But even at that, it's like there's going to be some people that just don't want to do it. And then it's like, it's a very hard question. How do we, I feel like most people I talk to.
We got to put it in our head.
It's tough though, where it's kind of like a kid. If you're too nice, they won't go do anything. But if you're too mean, then you're like a psycho parent. It's not good. So it's a balance of like love, but maybe tough love. I've never done it.
Here's what it is. To put the idea in everybody's head that it's up to us to come up with efficient solutions to the problems we face. And let it be a huge town hall. Let everybody come in. You know, a homeless guy might have the best idea, a crazy homeless guy. He might come up with the very best idea. So we were saying that, you know, the left ruins everything they get involved in because, first of all, the left is working for money. When I ran for president, that's what I figured out. Nobody wanted to do anything unless they were getting paid. And I'm like, come on, I've already paid everything, and I'm not getting paid. Well, yeah, but the people working for you should get paid. Well, no, you don't get paid to make a revolution. It's because you feel so passionate about changing things that you actually show up. You don't get paid to do that. So they work for the right, in my opinion, because all they care about is, you know, the socialists, they just care about the money they can get donated and matching funds and all that stuff. They don't care about the people on the ground or their lives. So because they are right-wing in that they're capitalist, they can't help but take themselves down. And every day it's more and more and more apparent. And, you know, because pretty soon bullshit hits the wall. You can only walk it so far where there's a wall and it hits and spews. There's nothing to anything they say.
I liked Bernie last election because I thought he was going to like change the game. Even like we came from a left-leaning side. I was like, he's anti-establishment, this and that. But he raised $180 million, bought a vacation home, like a third or fourth one. And I didn't think much of it because I was still like, oh, no, I'll forgive him. But then he did everything that he said he wouldn't do. He supported the establishment. He's like, oh, George Bush is better than Trump because at least he was just a conservative. And you're like, that's what you think, my man?
Yeah.
And then he started saying, if you criticize the media, that's very dangerous. I was like, what? That's the same media that cheated you. Then he suggested that if any of his supporters didn't want to vote for Hillary, like maybe they voted for Jill Stein or Trump because they had a reason. Maybe it was war, this or that. He said that he thought it was Russian influence. So the fact that he still raised $5 million or something already, I understand why you might lean left or like certain healthcare, but it's like you're going to give money to a guy that just slapped you in the face 50 times. I like progressives. They follow me and stuff, but I've been calling them doormats kind of as a challenge. Like, I'm not saying Trump's perfect, and you could, but like, how many times are you going to get hit and just be like, just take, I'm like, dude, he's not who you thought he was. He's just not.
He's not.
And if he lets the media run rampant, the military-industrial complex, like if he's saying he thinks Bush is way better than Trump, it's like this guy's not really anti-establishment.
No.
And if he gets all this power, which is like your tax money, the control of the health industry, which might work if it was like common sense logical, but if you give this guy everything and he has the media and the tech companies, they all say, you know, some right-wingers say something about free speech. The left wing, like maybe a few progressives on YouTube, but they're all like, nah, like it's not, nothing's going on. It's like everything's going on. They can't get control of everything because the worst regimes of like, you know, the 1900s all were fascist authoritarian, had control of everything, media, and it seems like they're going in that direction. That's why I'm running right. I'm like, they're like, what changed? I was like, you? Like, I'm just trying to not let you steal like everything.
Well, that's why I say they're just Stalinists, and that's another Ponzi scheme with a bunch of elitists at the top and everybody else at the bottom doing the slave labor. They don't care. This left cares nothing about labor rights or unions. All they care about is Israel, hating on Israel, and their anti-Semitism is off the fucking charts because they all took Arab money, and they'll take anybody's money, and they don't have any ideals. It's just money. It's like, they've been trying to create a big depression so that, before the next election, like to actually throw people out on the streets, the left, so that it looks bad for Trump. They don't care about the people. But so they rigged the whole Federal Reserve and the interest rates, and Trump just came in and he goes, this is a great time to invest, and boom, because he knows what he's doing, and he killed him. And I really think if people would read more about Trump and how he's taking on the central banks and the Fed, they'd like him, particularly real leftists or quasi-leftists even. If they would study about that, they would have their eyes open and go, oh my God, he's not left or right either.
Yeah.
He's more like me. It's like, let's find solutions. Let's value peace over war. Let's bring our soldiers home. All those things that when I was in the left, we wanted.
Yeah.
He isn't a Republican, and he's not a Democrat. And it's something very new that people can't get their heads around. But I wish they would read more about the way he's handling the Fed and their raising of interest rates and how he's smashed them at every level. And he's going to continue to do it. And I have that hope for America that we're not enslaved to these central bankers. We shouldn't be. That never should have happened. We shouldn't be paying income tax. You have to pay tax and work to pay taxes. That's slavery. It has to change, and it will. And I think the left, I think they're kind of in God's hands because God's like bringing them to where their ridiculous bullshit is hitting the wall, and when they go, the other side's going to go too. They'll rush in to fill the void, but we hope that some of the people that rush in to fill the void that they leave in the wake of all the destruction they cause will have some friggin' common sense and care about this country and their neighbors and the homeless people and the mentally ill people and the children. That's what they say they care about, but they actually do not. And I'm just here to stick it to them.
Oh, man. So much wisdom and truth there. They are bubbling up. It almost seems like they're purposely, or it's meant to be, like you said. I have a question, because I know a lot of people on the left and some on the right, they agree with you on all the central bank stuff, but they think it's Israel, so they're always blaming Israel, where you're really rare where you love Israel, but you call out the central banks and all that stuff, and not a lot of people do that. So maybe. Well,
because they're brainwashed that they think that all Jews are bankers. They think there's one kind of Jew and they're all bankers. Most Jewish people are not bankers, and but the central bank, it has control. Who doesn't it have control? What country doesn't it have control of? And I think when it goes down, there's going to be a lot of destruction in its wake in Israel too. But I'm hoping their elections are coming, and I'm hoping they get a new president. I really like Gideon Saar.
Okay.
And I think he could be Israel's Trump. And they need to get rid of neocons and people that are enslaved to central banks. And just let people be free. This tax money that they're stealing from all of us and pocketing, it's got to stop. And war is a good way they have of robbing everybody. And war is a big cover for slave labor, too. So we have to get rid of war and slavery. And maybe after we get rid of central banks, we'll be rid of that, too. And then we'll have a whole new world. And I think everybody should be praying for and working towards and thinking of that. A world of solutions. That's what Jewish people call the Messiah. A world of solutions, rather than filth and graft and corruption. And that's what I think.
Crushing it. I think people like you make people less anti-Semitic, because this is why I can't stand political correctness. They act like they're so virtuous, can't say that, can't say that, can't say that. So the most extreme people hide in the corners, and then the worst people fake it till they make it and say stuff at the top. But if someone saw you say something like that, because everyone's like, oh, it's, the Jews are doing the central bank stuff, and it's where you're like, listen, I like Israel, I like my people, but that is a problem. Right. Same within every community, like the leaders in the black community who say like, hey, this is going on, but we got to step it up. They don't get any shine. It's only the people who like project and deflect and like puppets.
I can tell they're bullshit because I know what's real. And so let me say it on here, and then we'll end this one and do it again. Everybody should go on videos of this guy named Dr. Sean Hross, Hross, and he has a new site now called Central Intelligence Agency, and he also has Giora, and I can't remember the other one, forgive me, Sean. I love him, but he's proven that everything goes back to the central bank of central banks, which is the Bank of International Settlements in Bern, Switzerland. And that is owned by Swiss, not Jews. And the Jews are the middlemen who work for the, HSBC Bank and the Rothschild banks. They all answer to the Swiss. And anybody who says Jews, I know right away, they're protecting the guilty, because the guilty are the Vatican banks, where they launder all the money they steal in every war, the City of London, which helps them launder, and every war is decided by the Bank of International Settlements. It has nothing to do with the Jews. There's no Jews in it. So when they go Rothschild and Jews, I know that they're full of bullshit, because they don't know how it really works. And that's why I say these lies can't exist anymore without secrecy, because secrecy is how all this stuff went on for centuries. But now secrets are being removed because of the internet and cyber. So people should go on there, watch Dr. Sean Hross, who was a political prisoner of the Swiss. And when he breaks it down for you, how J. Edgar Hoover and all the power in America is Swiss money.
I
and
watched
they're
some
all
of it.
Swiss.
Because
you like it?
Yeah,
I sent it to you.
I watched like a half hour, but then I have to chop it into clips. That's why I always stand up for free speech too, because if everyone can speak, like you said, I could weed out. I believe that. I don't believe that. But when you close off certain things, like it was before the internet, it's impossible to tell. And I never judge anyone. I obviously know there's good and bad people of every race, religion, and gender. But even for what I know, I just know that I'm not far enough. And the more I learn, I go further and further. So it's good to know. I think people, even we were talking about earlier, where they're like, you're doing this, you're doing that. They get here, and then they start blaming everyone, where it's like, just keep going.
Keep going all the way to the Templars and Egypt. The Templars were aristocrats of Pharaoh, and they took the money and founded Switzerland in 1291 so that they could have a central place to hide all the money they steal. And that's what the central bank of central banks is, and people need to know before they open their ignorant mouth and piss me off. Well, anyway, I shot my big mouth off today, and I was so happy to have my friend An0maly here, who's a great thinker, and we have great thinking conversations. And I invite you all to join us in thinking and talking to each other and caring about solutions.
Absolutely, and I just want to say Roseanne is next level, and while people misrepresent her, she's a matrix breaker. She's on a whole nother dimension. So when people they're talking here, and it's like I don't even know what you're talking about. Like I'm, like you're famously like I'm not even looking. I'm looking at the shapes of their heads. I'm not looking at their color. Like it's like 20 So
yeah,
that just annoys me when all that happens.
I do judge people by the shape of their head, and not their skin color, because the shape of the head tells you a lot, and we'll talk about that.
Yeah, I'm not trying to, chop it out if it's too dicey.
No,
but,
it's good. But
no, I just want to say,
think.
I hope people really see the true you, which a lot of people already do. But it's like this little like racist, sexist, xenophobe. It's so bad. It's like just listen to people. Don't listen to what the media says about them, because you're never gonna get the real deal. And then you could decide for yourself.
Right.